We are covering a lot of stories for you tonight. We start, though, in developments in the case in the killing of a young black man in Brunswick, Georgia, a white father and son now in jail.
Ahmaud Arbery was only 25 years old when he died in February. He was out for a jog, and during the day on February 23rd, investigators say he was followed, shot, and killed by a father and son named Gregory and Travis McMichael.
The McMichaels were not arrested until last week, nearly 3 months after Arbery's death, only after a video of the confrontation went public and the GBI was brought onto the case. Now both suspects are charged with murder. Documents that 11 Alive received today show that Gregory McMichaels worked as an investigator within the Brunswick District Attorney's Office for 20 years, but for several years he did not have the certification he needed to be an officer. Joe Henke explains.
In Gregory McMichael's personnel file from the Brunswick County DA's office is a memo from 2014 detailing McMichael letting the DA know he received a notification from Georgia Post, the state organization that oversees certifications of police officers in Georgia. The memo mentions McMichael saying he learned he fell behind on his training hours and did not have the power to make arrests since 2006, more than an 8-year period. In a letter detailing why he fell behind on training hours to be a certified officer, McMichael points to a heart attack, the following recovery, a later colon surgery, a second heart attack, and having to declare bankruptcy due to mounting medical bills. A letter to the DA mentions Post director saying liability for improper actions by McMichael would fall on Greg, the district attorney's office, and district attorney Jackie Johnson personally. Johnson addressed a letter to Post, thanking Post for helping McMichael later receive a waiver so he could continue to serve as an investigator and regain proper certification. She said, "It has negatively impacted my office, and I've taken measures to ensure that this does not happen again." McMichael would remain with the DA's office as a chief investigator until February of 2019, when he again failed to maintain his certification, and he was reassigned to a non-officer position with the DA ahead of his retirement in June of 2019. And we contacted the Brunswick District Attorney's office today and asked the DA if she had any statement about McMichael falling behind on his certification training, and also whether he made any arrests during that time period where he lacked the power to make arrests. So far, we have not received a response.